Alright, this is the official walkthrough on how to use the tool Wardify for the year of memorizing John for WCD Bible quizzing. This file will need to be downloaded, but once it is downloaded, it works offline. You will not need Wi-Fi in order for it to function. So, when you first open it, you'll be taken to this mainframe. You can choose any passage. The background is associated by the chapter. So if I go to chapter 5, there's a galaxy background, or sorry, stars. Go to 21, it'll be a fireworks background. So some people learn by association. This might help if you can remember the background of that specific chapter. You choose your passage range, however many verses you want, and it will then give you that many verses. These slashes are the jump points for finish the verse questions. If you know, you know. These are what make a verse unique throughout the whole book of John. You can turn those off by just clicking this. It also, you'll see, will show bold words, keywords that are only used once in the whole material. They're a little hard to see, but they are there. You then go to level 1, and it will remove all the references. The references are always removed. So interrogative quizzers, you're going to have to learn how. By hitting spacebar, it'll move you to the next box. You just fill in the blanks as you go. If you are on a phone, hitting enter or the return button will send you to the next box. If you're on a computer, this works. If you are on a phone, it doesn't. But if you're on a computer, you can hit Control H, and it will give you the next blank as a hint. It's also up here if you can't see that. Space equals next blank. Ctrl H equals hint the next word. Then as you go on, it will remove more and more words strategically. Level 3 is all the important words are removed. Level 4 is all the unimportant words are removed, and then level 5 is just everything is gone. You gotta fill it all out. In the end, you can check your answers, and it will tell you what you got right, what you got wrong, and what the right answers are. For John, there are a lot of quotations or dashes. If there is a dash, you can just type in a simple, normal dash instead of the long kind. It should mark it correct. And any kind of quotation marks are generally not necessary. But you should still use them. Yeah, you can reset, check your answers, and there's a specialty mode. Specialty mode will always give you the jump point for the finish the verse, and then it scrambles the order of the verses. So John 1 verse 1 is in the beginning was the word. So it's all the verses are out of order, but it gives you the jump point. So this is more for quote finish quizzers who want to study their jump points and the verse references. There's also a random section. When you click that, the verses or the words that are taken out are completely randomized, no matter the level. So you can use that if you don't want specific strategic words removed. So that is the main function of this. It is compatible because this is only sections. It'll give you verses 1 through 7. For 150, 300 quizzers, you go to custom, and it will then open this thing. You select your chapters, up to 2 chapters. You can't do more than that. So we're just going to go with chapter 1 and 6. Or sorry, 1 and 5. Let's do 1 and 5. You can then select whatever verses you want from those chapters, and it will only give you the verses from those chapters you chose. You can hit save selection, and it should remember your verse selection for the future. Then you hit use these verses, and you see it will only give you verse 1, 4, 51, and 1. These are the ones I chose. And again, because of the background thing, if you go from chapter, I'm just hinting over here. If you go from chapter 1 to chapter 5, it immediately switches to that chapter's background. So if you do go to specialty mode and it scrambles the order of verses, you will, if you can remember the backgrounds, you'll be able to know which chapter it's from because it will scramble them but give you the right background. Yeah, if I go clear custom and I go back to custom, you'll see that it has saved what I want, and then I can go back to use these verses in the future. Beyond that, This is the main frame of the tool, but past that, if you go to more tools up in the top right, this opens an array of different tools you can use. So I'm going to walk you through each one at a time. The keywords quiz is one of the more, it's one of the larger tools. You select whichever chapters you want. Let's go with chapter 1, 6, and 21. And then you select your kind of quizzing. So if you want to go with keywords, you can do that. You can also do 2-word phrases, 3-word phrases. For those of you who know, it should be pretty obvious, but 2-word phrases are 2 words consecutively that are unique to the entire book of John. Then you can choose the direction. So word chapter, it will give you the keyword or phrase from those chapters, and you have to try and guess which chapter it's from. So just a quick example, sharply is not 21. You, they. So when it says you, they, there's a dash there. It would be you dash they, but it left that out. Just for reference. Waters, there. So yeah, it'll give you a word, 20 seconds, you have to figure out the chapter. You can also switch the direction where it will then give you a chapter and you have to figure out which word belongs to that chapter. So dared. There. So yeah. There's that. Or if you go with 2-word phrases, 3-word phrases, it will then give you a 2-word phrase. This one. Nope. Only one. And this one. Nope. And this one. Yes. So yeah, there's that. 3-word phrases are 3 words instead of 2, which 3-word phrase belongs to chapter 6. Anyways, so that's pretty much all of this tool. It has a variety of studying, mostly for interrogative quizzers, but you can, play around with that. If you go to chapter material study, this one isn't really a game. This is just to go over your chapters. I find that a lot of people just sometimes forget what's in a chapter. Like, is it in chapter 4? Is it in chapter 7? So to go over a chapter, you just click it and hit study chapter 1, and it will give you the section. Like, there are always section titles. So John chapter 1, the word became flesh. And then it will always give you just a verse. It'll give you a verse from that section to kind of familiarize yourself with this chapter and what it's about. So the word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. John the Baptist denies being the Messiah, and it'll give you a verse from that. At the bottom, it also gives you all the keywords in this chapter. And yes, the background, you'll notice, switches to the chapter that you're studying. So if you go to chapter 21 again and you hit study chapter 1, you have the fireworks. Yeah, if you go back, there is now reference matching. Reference matching is maybe if you get car sick or motion sick, don't look at the dots. I don't know. But yeah, so this one, you can choose chapters, just a general chapter, all of chapter 1, or you can go to a passage range, which, like the Mainframe, will allow you to choose your chapter and the verses. Or you can, like the 300 verse, you just pick a chapter, pick the verses within those chapters. And then what you're going to have to do is, if you go to start matching, it's going to give you a verse, and you have to figure out the reference. He was with God in the beginning. It gives you 20 seconds again for this, and it keeps track of your score. If you go through the whole thing, I believe it will give you a percentage. I'm not entirely sure. Through him all things were made. In him was life, and in the beginning. Yes, it will give you a percentage of what you got correct, what you got wrong, and then a run through of what you did. So that's a neat one. You can also, so there are the custom verses that, again, if you choose chapter 7, verse 1, and 19, and 36, and 53, you can save your selection, and it will then remember what you chose for the future. You can also switch it around so it'll go reference and verse, where instead it will give you a reference, and you have to figure out what the verse is instead of the other way around. This is to sort of help quote quizzers who are just finding their feet when it comes to references and quoting the verses properly. We'll come back to the drag study game in a bit. There is a section locator. When you go here, you choose any amount of chapters. I'm going to go with chapter 1 and 6 because those are my favorites right now. So you'll see I have 10 sections. It always generally will give you a tiny little statistic here to tell you how much you've input. So you can go heading and chapter. When you go here, it will give you a section heading. Many disciples deserted Jesus. This is chapter 6. So these are kind of the word became flesh sort of section headings. So yeah, it'll give you a heading and you have to figure out what chapter it's from. Or you can switch around and then they will give you a chapter and you have to figure out what heading is from. So Jesus calls Philip and Nathaniel. So there is that function. That one's pretty simple. Okay, we'll go with the drag study game. If you go here, it's a pretty bright blue background. Might upset some people, but oops. Similar to the to the verse matching, it has the passage range or the custom verses. That again will they save? No, these ones will not save your selected verses. You need at least 2 chapters. Hey, we're gonna go with chapter 1 and 6. When you hit start sorting, it's gonna give you finish the verse kind of things. So these would be where you'd find the slash in the reading, where it's key to the whole book of John just for that finish the verse. So John replied is probably in chapter 1. Philip found also probably in chapter 1. I believe that if possible, these chapters are always even. Like there will not be more in chapter 1 than in chapter 6. They try and put the same amount in generally. Pretty sure wrote Jesus. Again, this would be a wrote dash Jesus. It's just left out. Decision might be in here. They won't let you check it until everything is put in a box. Yeah, it may be somewhat time consuming, but it's a little more entertaining for most people, and it's a fun way to study. Just having them bounce around and trying to figure out what chapter it is. Would you stop it? Okay. Heading. Day which. Okay. So now it'll let me check my answers. And you can see what's right, what's wrong, and then I can move to the next round. The next round will just give me more material from those chapters I chose. You can choose as many as you want. It doesn't just have to be 2. It's just the more you put in, the harder you're making this for yourself. Yes, so there's that. If you go to odd one out, this is the final tool, one of my favorites. This one, you select whatever chapters you want. I'm just going to go with chapter 6 and chapter 1. You can go with sections, keywords, or verses. You'll understand what I mean in a second. We'll go with keywords right now. And then you set yourself a goal. We're going to go with 2 right now. And we're going to leave this off. Here, it's going to give me 10 seconds. I have to find the odd one out. So all 3 of these keywords belong to one chapter. One of them doesn't. You'll see I lost a life because I ran out of time. So half belongs to a different chapter. Bite. Nope, I was wrong. Rough. Nope. Then you'll see it gives you a kind of you failed screen, and then it will send you back. If you hit your victory goal, say just 1 right now, then it'll give you this victory screen, and it will send you back to the mainframe here. You can also go with verses, where it will then give you like 3 verses that belong to one chapter and 1 that does not. So which one is from a different chapter? You got to figure that out. There's another function here. Sections will give you the section heading again. So Jesus, the bread of life. Peter's confession. Yeah, it's that one. There, if you click chapter reveal, it will show you the chapter that it belongs to. So 3 of them from chapter 6. So it just gives you a little more information. It's like, here is the chapter that 3 of these are from. Which one is not in chapter 6? But yeah, so there's that final function. I think you can have as many as you want. It's just, yeah. So I hope this tutorial helps, and I hope that if you use this tool that it helps as well. But yeah, this is just an official walkthrough on how the tool works, what it does, and hopefully it's not overcomplicated. But yeah, I hope this video finds all the viewers well, and good luck with whatever reviewing, memorizing, studying you're doing.